Hello and welcome to Confidently Wrong, a show by regular dudes talking with confidence about content we have no right to speak about with any kind of authority, but do it anyway. I'm Wesley Nakamura, and as always, I'm joined by award-winning director Brian Redondo and Savon Jones, aka Captain Bonnie. This is episode 202, and we unwrap Guillermo del Toro's latest masterpiece, Frankenstein. I'm confident that it's going to be the best show you've ever listened to, and well, hey, if it's not, you can always ask us for a refund.
Incredible!
Hello, gentlemen! Welcome back. It's Confidently Wrong. Shout out to the 2025 world champion Dodgers.
We're not talking about baseball.
Blue Jays.
We're not about to be talking about baseball here, y'all.
Blue Jays were impressive. They were millimeters away a couple of times from winning the World Series.
Wes keeps springing this stuff on us. Like, we never know what he's going to say at the top of the show.
Oh, he's already got his self-insert or whatever he's trying to promote, and he's not going to tell us a thing about it.
I can't talk about the Lakers because they got stomped on the other night by OKC. They were losing by 30 in the second quarter. It was over, and they didn't even have Jalen Williams. They didn't have
talking about the Lakers.
Yeah, they didn't have a couple of other players either, and Lakers still got annihilated.
I wonder how many listeners we lose at the beginning of our shows.
They like turn it on and they're like,
talking about the Lakers.
No.
All right, bet. All right, cool.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to talk about Frankenstein.
Talking about baseball.
Does Frankenstein play for LA?
We all did the homework, but in true overachiever style, we all crammed it at the very end here. Like literally, we're all finishing this morning. We had to push back our recording
I was not
time.
about to dedicate my Friday night to watching Frankenstein. I have too much respect for myself.
I came in for my Friday night and thought I was going to watch this movie.
And then you passed
Boy,
out,
was I wrong.
Passed out on the couch.
It's 2.5 hours.
I did not know. I was like, yeah, I could knock out 90 minutes before I go to bed.
Yeah.
Nope.
This was a
Wrong.
Ryan suggested it. I saw it on Netflix. It was like highly, whatever. People seem to like it, and then we watched it. And so we'll talk about how that went for us, because I think all of us had a very similar experience, and I do think experience is the right word here. So let's get into it. This is we could have all gone to see Predator Badlands, and instead we watched this. So this movie, it's on Netflix. It's by pretty famous director Guillermo del Toro. Is he an Oscar winner?
Oscar-winning director.
For what? For Shape of Water?
A peer of Brian.
Yeah.
Me and him go way back. Ever since I saw one of his movies.
And one of the movies I've enjoyed the most from him was Pan's Labyrinth. I think I enjoyed that more than Shape of Water.
That is by far his best.
You think so? And then he also did, kind of the sillier / comic booky side was Hellboy, which
he did Blade 2.
Which has some themes here. Oh, did he do Blade 2?
He did Blade 2.
That's very different tonally than everything else that I've seen from him.
He did Pacific Rim.
He did Pacific
Rim?
Not
to be confused with the spinoff Pacific Rimmed.
Yikes.
I haven't seen that one.
I've
seen a poster.
We just lost another 14 listeners. So sorry, listeners, that you had to hear that. All right, so let's get into it. Frankenstein, a retelling of a very old and famous classic literature by Mary Shelley. Savon, what was the official title of the book that no one ever remembers? They just call it Frankenstein.
What, Child Prometheus or something like that? Or something about Prometheus in the name?
He'll look it up.
Modern Prometheus.
Okay.
Frankenstein or Modern Prometheus.
Or a Modern Prometheus. Nice.
Yeah, Brian, the cultured one.
Also, shout out to Mary Shelley. Like, when do you ever meet a woman with two first names? Happens with dudes a lot.
Mary Kay.
Not with women.
But as their last name.
As their last name.
Oh,
two first
yeah,
names.
That's all.
As their whole name. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I thought you meant like.
We'll think about it and not think about it at all.
She hit the name bingo card. There you go.
All right. So this movie, it got pretty glowing reviews. After I watched the movie, I was like, oh, what are kind of some of the critics saying about it? The Roger Ebert website really liked it. New York Times really liked it. Rolling Stone really loved it. Really just singing the praises of Guillermo del Toro and talking about how he got to make a movie that he's been talking about for a really long time, and they love the visuals, they love the themes, they just love the movie. So let's talk about that. It's also #1 on the Netflix charts. So I think let's start off with some positives. What did you like about it, Brian? What What in this did you find that was like, man, this is like pretty cool?
Monsters. The best part about, I think, nearly all of Guillermo del Toro's movies is the creativity and weirdness and attention to detail that goes into creatures. He loves making creatures. Shape of Water is like, the amphibian type creature, and then you got Pan's Labyrinth, which has a bunch of like fairy tale type creatures. The most notable one, the dude with no eyes, but
he has eyes,
but has them. He has eyes in the palms of his hands, and he puts his hands up on his face where his eyes should be, so that he can see as he approaches.
So visually striking,
a vulnerable young girl. Yeah, just like stuff that you cannot take out of your mind. Like once you see a creature from one of his movies that he's created, it stays there. That creature lives in the attic of your brain. And so I think, I just like his other movies, Frankenstein obviously has the Frankenstein monster. And Wes, go ahead and chide people and let them know that Frankenstein is not the name of the monster.
Brian, did you know that Frankenstein isn't the name of the monster? Actually, we all call it that, but it's not. There is no name. He's just the monster or the creature, but he never gets a name.
Then what's Frankenstein?
Frankenstein is the actual name of the doctor that created him.
Whoa! Oh my god!
Now you know.
Oh my god!
What? That's impossible! That's impossible!
Hide your children. So
I did think that though for like, I don't know, 30 years of my life, 35 years of my life, I thought it was Frankenstein.
Good job, Wes. The correct pronunciation, by the way, is Frankenstein. In case you haven't seen Big Daddy. But anyway, the monster itself, in this particular version, is really interesting. It's not like the Lurch type character that you might think of.
Very different.
If you ever go to Universal Studios and they have like the old school Frankenstein monster, and the guy with like, he's got bolts in his neck and he just looks like a mattress and walks out with his arms.
That's the best description I've ever heard of. He looks like a mattress.
He looks like a mattress.
Yeah, he's just rectangular,
just lumbering. Yeah, he's like Lurch basically. Yeah. This is not that kind of Frankenstein. This is a sinewy, like kind of athletic looking Frankenstein who maybe could play for the Spurs. Kind of Frankenstein.
Okay, more Wemby.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he plays for some Texas NBA team. Yeah, that's another good analogy. And of course he's made from a bunch of different body parts from other cadavers and whatnot, and so he's got the scarring and whatever. But I think it's really fun to be in Dr. Frankenstein's lab and see all the stuff that he's doing with bodies on his way to creating Frankenstein. And that kind of stuff is just like classic monster movie magic. And from whenever this story first came out and when it was first adapted for movies and film up to now, it's still a really enduring and kind of just fun popcorny thing to watch unfold on screen. And Guillermo del Toro delivers his take on it, which is cool. It has a certain vibe to it, and then for good measure, he also adds like one or two other like weird looking creatures. Like Dr. Frankenstein keeps having these dreams, and we see like a blood soaked angel type thing that keeps trying to communicate with him, and that's pretty freaky. And yeah, so I think that's like one of the first things that strikes me about this version of it.
I also like the non-linear storytelling. Right, there's kind of a like it goes back over some of the same events, but from a different perspective, or we fill in some gaps here and there. So I like that it wasn't just a straightforward, like A to B timeline plot.
Yeah, he's interested in fairy tales, like for sure, obviously, right? Yeah. Like this is a type of fairy tale. Shape of Water is definitely a fairy tale. Pan's Labyrinth is a fairy tale, and he's interested in storytelling, and so like making that be part of how this movie unfolds this is a very deliberate choice and a cool one, right? Like Frankenstein tells his story. Dr. Frankenstein tells his story to like a ship captain. And spoiler alert, the monster also gets to tell his story in this movie, which was a very cool choice.
I don't know if that happens in the book or not. Probably not, right? I don't know. I've never read it.
Despite my background, I am not a reader.
All right. Sav, what stood out to you as something on the positive side?
That's a good question. What did I like about this movie?
Oh, boy.
He's got his hater pants on today.
The movie did a really good job of characterizing just how awful the actual doctor is. And a lot of times in these Frankenstein stories, or we've seen a bazillion different versions or retellings of it, a lot of time is spent for you to sympathize with the monster, which is understandable. The creature's been given life, it didn't ask for life. That story of self-discovery and I didn't ask for life and what am I is something that I think you often see in Frankenstein or even monster type stories. And that's not the newest trope or thing we've seen. But what I really enjoyed was that we got to see Frankenstein's childhood and the relationship with his father, who, by the way, was played really well by Charles Dance, who always does a great job of just playing these really just...
From Game of Thrones.
Yeah. And even in other roles, he's always just good at playing just a jerk. Or just someone who's very just uptight and domineering. And I think getting that context of why he's the way he is, but also recognizing that there's probably some madness in there all along was very good. It made the tragedy of their relationship make a lot more sense because you realize, oh, Frankenstein's been a broken, monstrous man his entire life, which... Not to say that you can't already infer that, but the story did a good job of characterizing it. You see the ego, you see that he's brilliant, but the brilliant, like they give the mad scientist vibes very well of like, oh, this dude's really, really smart. But then when you see his interactions with people, you're like, oh my God, this dude is kind of cracked. And and Oscar Isaac did a really good job of selling me on that. And then even the movie characterizes that he's so insane and kind of cracked that like other people can pretty clearly see it. Like I enjoyed that too. It's not like, oh, he's this secret smart guy who, and even characters, even multiple characters even call out, this dude's effing nuts. Like pretty plainly. But
several characters also feed him on that, right? Like they encourage him to be more grotesque or more of like that monster.
Well, they have their own motivations, right? Like the scientists who funded them, I think Hans, what's his name? I'm forgetting
Erlander or something.
Hans Gruber.
No, I think the actor. Thank you. Like Harlander obviously is like in it on his own means and all that, but even his brother and even the brother's fiance who he fancies, they both clearly recognize that he's a monster, but don't realize the extent of what he's trying to do. They just know the dude's kind of nuts, right? But either way, my point is that they did a great job of really selling us on his madness, his creepiness, his manipulative victim complex behavior, and everybody around him is very keenly aware of that. And I enjoyed that. It made Frankenstein a very compelling character for what his role was in the story and the relationship with the monster. And just, the casual nature of which he goes about the bodies and just his scientific method and the montage of him carrying body parts, all that. Like the Frankenstein monster was cool, but I really appreciated like me being very sold as a viewer that, oh man, Frankenstein is the real monster, which we know that from the themes of the story, but they really like punched it home in a way that I feel like other stories about Frankenstein I haven't seen. Even what we saw in Creature Commandos, right? Like, yeah, that's just a variation of the character in a cartoon in a superhero world, but like the scientists is still throw it off, but they really punched home this one of like, oh man, this dude sucks. And I thought the movie was much better. It was a stronger movie for that.
Yeah. His obsession, his ego completely took over, right? And
the callous nature, the people getting executed, and he's just, nope, not this one. Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. The fact that he shamelessly is just hitting on his brother's fiance and doesn't even kind of like
not even a little bit.
he has. It's just they do a great job of showing how obsessed he is because he has zero subtlety in anything he does in the entire movie, and you realize that's a character trait, and it's a really dope one because you can imagine everybody else being like, "Yo, what the f is wrong with this dude?"
But at the
Which is
same time,
valid.
you
Which
don't
is
get-
valid.
You don't get tired of it, right? It's not like, okay, we get it. He's like an egomaniac, right? Like it feels like
It makes
every
the
moment-
entire movie make sense. Like
Yeah.
it's the backbone of everything else in the movie of like, yeah, everything in this man's life goes to shit and goes ass up because of his of all these character flaws that we see from beginning, middle to end. We get explained. We see him literally perpetuate the cycle of violence. I'm like, oh, you hitting the dude like your dad was popping you? I'm like, oh well, fuck, dude. Like,
yeah.
Like it's one of those everything goes wrong, but you understand why, which makes we'll talk more about the monster. It makes his story that much sadder because it's the opposite, right?
Yeah.
And the movie keeps reminding you that not only is he like this inhumane guy who doesn't understand other human beings with these crazy ambitions, but he's also a rich guy. You know, he is a guy with means, and like even by the end of the movie, he's like, I'm gonna buy like all this equipment and dynamite and stuff, and like doesn't even matter to pursue this, and is like, well, I have a feeling that this movie is trying to parallel some other rich people who are trying to defy science and life here in our modern reality
Good
with
point.
unlimited resources.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting that like, well, I didn't think about that because it was clear that like the Christopher Waltz character was the richest dude in the neighborhood. But you're right. He does have means, and he's able to just like take off at a moment's notice and now chase down the monster.
Even if he's not rich, he definitely has privilege in the sense that like he doesn't have
when he's
money,
looking at
but he has an estate. He doesn't have to work
Baron.
for a living.
Yeah,
he's a effing Baron.
when he's checking out the different people who are lined up to be hung, right? And he's just like evaluating them for parts like you would at a chop shop or something like that. I just thought that was like pretty telling, right? Like look at this dapper guy, this Baron. Yeah.
Even they say, oh, when his dad died, they lost their money but kept the estate. But again, even without the money, he still exists in just the world of. He ain't got to worry about regular working class people issues. Some people don't even have time to do their human cadaver necromancy experiment because they got to work a 9 to 5. At least he can find an angel investor. At least he has an angel investor and like a facility.
He's got VC money
and all that. But I think the theme of wealth and privilege definitely is definitely there, Brian. Like this is also the classic. Just because you could doesn't mean that you should.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about things that you didn't necessarily like, or do you want to talk about the comparison here between this movie and some of the past projects that Guillermo del Toro's known for? I feel like, Brian, you'd be really good about kind of juxtaposing what happened in this movie and how this one got built, and then comparing that to something like Shape of Water or Pan's Labyrinth, some of his more, what I would consider more of his like beloved, films.
Or Pacific Rim. That's a very beloved movie.
People really like it. I did not enjoy it as much, but
I also did not enjoy it because I think I was expecting Pan's Labyrinth and he gave us
Transformers.
Which was very surprising. I mean, the guy also made those Hellboy movies, right? It's like
but those were much smaller scale. Hellboy was kind of this like small scale story, right? It wasn't like we're blowing up the earth and we have like armed our aircraft carriers and all of that stuff. It wasn't that type of movie.
Well, I mean, he's adapting a comic book story that already has it. It's pre-written. I think what draws him to these stories, though, is it is this sense of fantasy
and misfit
and again,
characters.
like the creature world building. Yes, misfits is often a common theme, and people seeing or reacting to monstrosity with horror. And usually all the monsters in his movies are the most pure, the most innocent, the most warm-hearted. That's very much at the core of Shape of Water, right? Hellboy himself, right? Like people can't accept Hellboy, but he's got a big heart. And he's sort of a hero, even though people might not accept him. There's lots of that going on in his movies, and and that's on full display here. And again, like the storytelling aspect. Actually, his last movie was Pinocchio, right? And so like now he's sort of, it feels like he has been wanting to make Frankenstein, probably because it's in the monster movie canon, right? And he's got to do his spin
It's like
on it.
the monster movie.
He did Pinocchio, which is in a way is like another version of the same story, if you think about it. But also, I kind of think like if either you guys or anybody out there try to watch Pinocchio, it's not great. I gotta say, and there's a level of what feels like self-indulgence that is starting to come across. Because especially when he's taking these existing IP, right, like these stories that we all already know, they're kind of a little less interesting than his original stuff. Like Shape of Water is a completely original story. So you just like have no expectation, and it opens up his sandbox so much wider than him trying to find ways to adapt stuff that we're already familiar with. And I don't think he always finds something new and interesting in these. You can tell that he is really dedicated to them, and that he's like sort of like worshiping these kind of IPs, these classic IPs, but yet hasn't like really brought something like shockingly new and interesting to the stories. Like he definitely understands them, and I appreciate that he brought this new format of both Frankenstein and the monster telling their sides of the same story. I think that, again, that's pretty cool. But at the same time, it's like, we know this story.
Yeah. So Brian, you say self-indulgent. Tell me what you mean by that, because I don't really know Del Toro's like his filmography super well. And we've talked about other like directors, whatever, who they have a brand, they have a stamp. Gunn.
Oh yeah,
we talked about
James
Gunn.
Waititi.
We were joking about Spike Lee in the pre-conversation. Like, we know what directors can look like when they have too much of their brand or stamp and it's self-indulgent. I don't know Del Toro very much. Like, you say that there's moments that feel that way. Could you like point it out to me, or like what's the moment where it's like, hey man, you're kind of just ringing your own bell a little bit? Like, when did that happen?
So like in Shape of Water.
No, I mean in this movie though. But Shape of Water.
No, I think this will like
gotcha.
help exemplify what I'm talking about. In Shape of Water, there's a scene where like somehow they fill an apartment full of water, and like the water monster and the woman who's like taking care of him, who like helped him escape from the lab, right?
Yeah.
Are in their apartment, they fill it with water, and they're like having this like romantic sensual water dance underwater, with like really sentimental music playing, and and they're just like doing this dance underwater, and it's beautiful, and they're like having this connection between human and creature and all this stuff. And it's fun. It's fun, but it's also like really, really sentimental. It's like extra sweet. It's like let's pour all the maple syrup, the entire bottle.
Let's just drink it straight from
pancakes.
the bottle.
Yeah, let's cut right to the chase and just do an IV. And I think you see some of that here in Frankenstein, where it's like, oh, the damsel who like comes to greet the Frankenstein monster, and
they have their connection moment of, oh, you're not really a monster, and the hands and the glove.
Let me touch your face, and let me show you the beautiful maple leaf that I put into the water, and we watch it flow down the drain pipe. It's like I don't really have like the words to
No, I understand. No,
articulate what that is,
I
but you know what I'm talking about.
no. The scenes of like no
Like
in these monster
it's so
stories.
flowery.
Yeah, no, it's like what you mean. That's indulgent. Like when you have them. No, so Del Toro likes these movies where they have this misunderstood monstrous character, and he loves to really pour it on when there's a scene of them showing that they're not really the monster you think they are.
Yeah,
whether it's the Pan's Labyrinth, whether it's in Shape of Water, whether it's in this, there's always a misunderstood creature and a really, really ham-fisted, over-the-top scene of them bonding. And to you, it feels like, hey, man, you kind of come off the top ropes a lot with that. And after you've seen a lot of your movies, it starts to become like, so you probably went into the movie thinking, she's going to find the creature and they're going to bond for like a maybe excessively long scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
no, that's exactly what I was asking.
He's like trying to like, implant in your brain, like, this is beauty. This is what makes life beautiful. Don't you understand, audience? Like, this is the thing. Like, don't you see the beauty in this leaf? And it's like, dude,
this is a Wendy's.
This is a monster movie. This is kind of pretentious, and I love pretentious stuff. But
I know you are our resident. You are our resident pretentious patron. We need you. We need you here.
Yeah,
Brian.
This is what I'm trying to add to the podcast. But like Guillermo del Toro is doing the job for me. Like, geez, and like part of me is into it, but part of me is like, wow, like you are really dragging this on.
Mm-hmm.
Like we kind of get it. And I think there's like other interesting ground that maybe we lose because he spends so much effort doing this kind of thing.
I wonder if, and I don't know, I'm just like thinking through based on what you said, but I wonder if like some of that is difficult to sort of buy into, believe, to like really fully sort of put down the disbelief in that, like, we've seen how monstrous the monster actually can be, right? Like, he's dangerous. It's not like a question of whether he's dangerous. He's actually dangerous. And he's also damaged. And there's a lot of things that like he hasn't learned yet because he's still in his childlike form. And so for that scene to come at that point when he's still not actually like fully like realized, you're like, how is she not scared? How is this still a thing where like he's going to allow this moment to happen? And he had just gone through a situation where he shouldn't be trusting strangers. He shouldn't be trusting adults because the only person in his life is someone who's abusive. And all of a sudden he's like, oh yes, I trust you implicitly. Right. And it's like, wait a second, like, where did all the trauma and
I trust you.
Yeah.
Cute woman.
Yeah. Well, then we're also getting into that
soft skin.
But then we're also getting into the conversation of like, are we upset about the logic of the scene or the execution of the scene? Because I do think those are two different. Like, I do feel like, Brian, your thing is more about the execution.
It's very much execution.
Rather than like where it fits into, rather than like the logic of it's not about whether or not he logically should be scared of her of him. It's just more of a, hey, man, logic or not, you're doing too much with just the drawn out nature of it. I mean, see, that's what's weird. And I want to
like maybe you notice that more because you're not set up ahead of time to actually like roll into that mode. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I think they actually. I mean, see, I think it's very easy to sympathize with the Frankenstein monster because the movie did such a great job of showing how shitty Frankenstein is before the monster is even introduced fully. So by the time,
even the lady is a little bit messed up. Like Elizabeth is also cracked a little bit.
No, I think she's just a little weird. Like, she probably has some of the most humanity in the movie.
She likes bugs.
Well, but she likes trapping things. And then when she comes in and sees the monster in his lab, she's like enamored by it. She's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! What you're doing."
Yeah, and then but then she's also immediate. Yeah, and then you're also leaving out the immediate disgust of why it's locked up and trapped in the basement. And she's like, "Yo, why did you even?" Now, I think she's probably one of the most honestly. William and his wife are some of the more grounded, actual chill humans in this story. I thought the real monster really was just Frankenstein. I mean, your boy who was bankrolling him obviously sucked, but a lot of the other people in the story, there was no one else who was really just on some, oh man, you on some other shit type energy. Everybody else felt relatively normal. That's why the story's so rough, because you see at least in my opinion, you see Frankenstein destroy everything around him and drag everybody down with him. He took this dirty money from a war profiteer. He effed up his brother and his brother's life and got him killed. and then also was just egregiously disrespectful and ultimately got his brother's fiance killed too. He created the monster who
and lies
is
about
just
it, right?
like, yo,
Well, he
lie.
shot
Yeah,
his
like
fiance,
pretty much every shitty thing that happened. He killed multiple people and pinned it on the monster. He had a body count of 2, both of which was pinned on the monster. I think regardless of the scene, Brian, and your issues with it being kind of like, maybe heavy-handed and them doing too much, I think they didn't need it because the movie did a good job of already making you sympathetic to the monster. One, by making Frankenstein suck. So again, by the time the monster,
the monster's abused,
but even then, before the monster's even created, like when he looks like the experimental failure, before you even see the monster walking around, you can firmly establish, Frankenstein is clearly the antagonist, the villain, the bad guy of this story. This dude sucks. There's no way they could possibly introduce something to make me be rooting for him. And surprise, surprise, they don't, because he effing sucks. But I wanted to talk about how, I actually like the Frankenstein monster. I know we're talking about some of the issues we had, but I thought them giving him his own time to tell his story was one of the high points of the film.
That was the best part.
That was one of the high points. See, that's what's weird about this movie. I love Frankenstein's backstory and knowing why he's the way he is, and seeing just building up us hating him as viewers. But then us sympathizing the Frankenstein monster and seeing his story, and the story not just being, oh, humanity sucks. His thing is kind of more so of like nature and life is just rough, which I thought was an interesting twist. Normally it's humans are the real monsters, yada yada, but even all the tragedy he goes through telling his story, none of it's really centered around humans bad. It's kind of more about just the inevitable conflict of life. And he still comes to the same conclusion of being alone and having to deal with that despair. But I thought it was interesting that, at least in my opinion, it was less about the human world being awful and humans suck and blah, blah, blah. And, oh, nature good. It's nope, nature's rough too. The wolves will absolutely just pull up on y'all and wreck your shit. And that was nothing humans could have done. The thing with the people shooting him was like a misunderstanding, a reasonable one at that. So I like that his nihilism and his struggle felt very real, because there's no comforting answer you can give him knowing what we had watched about his story. There's no, oh, humans suck and that's just how it is. It's like, nah, man, life is just perpetual conflict and you got to figure out how you navigate and make sense of it. And I thought that was a cooler twist on the story that maybe we haven't seen in other versions of it. But I like the Frankenstein monster and his story, and that was I think they kind of like lost steam of what they wanted to do with him towards the end. But hearing him tell his story and like the village and the spirit and all that was peak. Loved it.
Yeah, all that stuff felt really original to me. And who knows, like maybe that stuff is in the book, but like what commonly most people know about Frankenstein is just like the doctor creates this monster and like people hate it. Right. And so seeing that part of the story felt really fresh and exciting, because I really had no idea where it was going to go. And then he goes on and befriends the blind guy in the cabin and starts reading like all these like ancient texts, like the Bible and like Paradise Lost and Ozymandias and stuff like that. And and they establish that he has this relationship with an old man that has no judgment, who is just somebody looking for companionship. And I thought that was like such an interesting dynamic as well. And then for Frankenstein's monster to come to the realization that he wants a companion, he cannot die and needs somebody to go through this horrible life with together into eternity. That was a really interesting twist, I think. But at the, to Savon's point, then it brings us back to Dr. Frankenstein, and it's like, what are we doing here? You just brought us back to the real monster, and like,
well, but then he shifts,
right,
and
kill each other over and over.
His like motivation kind of changes, right? He's like, oh, okay, well, I just want to die then.
Yeah.
Like, wait, I thought you wanted a companion.
It became really nihilistic, and then suddenly forgiveness at the end.
Yeah, it was very, and it Yeah, and it was kind of like are y'all setting up for what the sequel is? 'Cause I know the sequel of the book is Bride of Frankenstein, right? He literally asked him to make a companion, and that's like the setup for what's next. So I'm like, okay, are we going that route? Yeah, it felt like they were jerking us around a little bit, and I felt it almost felt like in the writers' room they had a path of different endings they took, and they never fully committed to one. It's like, hey, are we leaning into the he's just gonna get revenge on his master? Or are we leaning into the create him a companion, and there's more to this? But then it was like, okay, I'm going to hunt you down, master. But then it turns out the master's hunting him down, and also looking up the plot. Some of that is what happens in the book, the Arctic chase and all that. But then other parts are very big, like departures. So it feels like they wanted to stay true to the book, but also changed other parts in a way of like, hey, man, pick a lane. Like either you're going to be really faithful to the book or you're not. But this kind of middle ground they took made the ending feel like it landed a little flat when they built up these two characters really, really well, and I expected their final confrontation to be a little more
Conflict.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't even have to end with one of them killing the other or something,
No,
but it still ended flat, and I don't know. Maybe I just felt like Frankenstein didn't deserve his atonement, and him trying to see the error of his ways felt out of character for what we had seen about him. Maybe I wasn't convinced, but
Me neither.
Yeah, it didn't feel earned, right?
Yeah, it was just like
kind of a left turn.
I'm like, no, you are cornered out in the Arctic. No, you don't get to repent now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And the captain all of a sudden being like, "We're gonna turn around now."
Well, I guess that apparently that was in the novel.
I see the error in my ways.
Apparently that was in the novel too. So like I said, which is where it's like, okay, what's novel, what's not?
I don't know. I wonder if like these are things that worked better in the novel because you had a little more space to explore some of it and let it breathe. And in a film, obviously, you just have to like fit things in a shorter amount of time and space.
They should have made it 5 hours.
Oh God, it was already a long movie. No, I just think they introduced concepts and then they kind of like didn't. Like, I don't like that they introduced they teased us at the companion thing, which felt like a Bride of Frankenstein companion teaser, and then they just didn't go anywhere with it. And I think that took a lot of the wind out of my sails. I thought, oh, is he going to force him under duress to try and do it again? Or he try and make him do it, and he says, the equipment, everything, the technology is destroyed. I can't. And then he kills him in rage, something. But the fact that they teased that, but then it kind of just ends with him saying, well, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, that's it? He says, make me a companion. He says no. And then it's like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to hunt you. And it's like,
yeah.
And then
like there was things in there where it's like they could have brought Elizabeth back to life or something like that, right? And had it be this situation. And it's also, you have a whole bunch of questions there around like the monster understands how horrible it is to be Frankensteined together and yet wants this to happen to somebody else now, right? Like, and everybody.
Well, he just straight up said he wants revenge. Well, yeah, I mean,
but now you create a new victim, right? Like in that sense.
Yeah, but I think you're focused on the morality of it and less about like this isn't really about whether what the characters did is right or wrong, because I'm not really cared about the story being morally right. It's more of just like in the pacing of the story they're trying to tell, do these pieces fit in and make sense and build up to something that feels like a satisfying payoff. I don't really care if them bringing somebody back as them not being quote unquote good or bad. It's just a matter of, hey, if you're going to introduce this, are you going to commit to it? Are you going to do it? And if so, how's the execution of this going to go to where the payoff feels good? They had this Elizabeth love interest character throughout the movie, killed her, hinted at the idea of him wanting a companion. Right. And then we know
that she loves the monster too. Like,
yeah. Or at least I don't think it's love. She's intrigued. She feels empathy for it. Like at the very least,
it seemed kind of romantic.
It was romantic. She was like,
you picked up romantic?
Yeah.
I didn't pick up romantic.
Jumped into his arms.
Yeah.
I'll have to rewatch it. But either way, they clearly built
freaky.
Yeah. Either way though, that whole thing ended up going nowhere. And even in the novel, like they apparently get married on Frankenstein marries Elizabeth because they're like a child. There's something, but
Frankenstein marries Elizabeth
in the book, really?
The doctor marries her because I guess it's like I said, certain details. I guess they change, but either way, they built up this whole idea of a companion or whatever, and then they just completely abandoned it.
Yeah,
and that really made me disappointed in that. All right, are we gonna get a sequel? Or you don't even need a sequel, but it can just be a cliffhanger of okay, maybe he does get a companion, and that's just where they leave it. But
You could even have it so that he somehow addresses that, like, okay, I'm okay not having a companion, right? Like realizing that this was gonna be something that was like
folly,
doing the same thing to him, to somebody else that had been done to him, and he also resented, right? Like, so he learns and figures out that, wait, I can't do that to somebody. But like, yeah, it was just too late in the movie where they started introducing this idea of the companion.
Yeah, like I said,
I also thought it was like it could go in the the exact opposite direction where the monster becomes monstrous by creating his own companion, right? Because the Frankenstein won't do it, and then like and then the whole cycle just continues.
I mean, that's that was Creature Commandos, right? That was kind of was not exactly, but similar in that like the bride was created. Now, granted, Frankenstein did create her, and he did follow through, but similar idea of Frankenstein, the monster in that show, was a victim because he was given this life and didn't ask for this shit, and then asked for a companion, was given one,
and she was like, hell nah.
But to your point, it's like, hey, she needed to learn existence and life and all that, and he becomes a monster, and it was full circle. Like I said, I don't really care what they do with the bride story, but don't introduce it and then do nothing with it. That really is a disappointing concept. Again, when Bride of Frankenstein is a known thing, it's not like maybe not. It's like, no, anyone who's familiar even remotely with pop culture knows that there's the Frankenstein bride with the big tall hair and the white streaks on the side. Like, that's a pop culture phenomenon. Don't tease that in the movie and then don't go anywhere with it. Especially since they could have still given us a good ending and not introduced that concept. Like I said, you could have just made it more about the master creator relationship thing, and I don't know. Look, man, the village arc where he learned to find community and it all goes up in hell was great, and that was some peak me feeling for Frankenstein material that I've seen in a hot little minute.
Yeah, the one good thing in his life,
and he couldn't die.
Yeah, that's actually
like everything was taken from him, and then he couldn't die.
Actually, I take it back, Brian. That's the best part. I've never seen them lean into Frankenstein being functionally immortal and how shitty that is. You know that he's durable,
and have a healing factor.
Yeah, you know that he's durable, and you know that he's like strong and all that. But you understand that Frankenstein's usually this big lumbering coloss of mammoth that can be killed. He's just an abomination of science and nature, right? But you can kill it. But this version, they lean into he cannot die. What do you do when
he's Weapon X?
Yeah, what do you do when you create something that doesn't want life, doesn't know what it is having existential dread, and then loses what it did have when it learns that, and then also learns that it can't die, and it's like it can't live
the misery.
It can't live. It can't die, and that was actually a cool twist. Like when him holding the dynamite, pretty much saying, all right, if this works, cool. But if not, I am on your ass. I know I'm putting it kind of crude, but like
that's what he said.
I'm like, yeah. But but that was like I know I'm playing it for laughs, but like that shit was kind of sad. I was like, oh man, I really felt bad for the monster in this movie because he just could not catch a effing break. And again, some of it's the cruelty of man, some of it's the cruelty of the world and nature in general, but it was rough to watch this character just take continuous L's with no sign of anything working out in sight. And again, that was a good part. That was a high point in the movie. I'm like, man, this fucking sucks, bro.
And this kind of like comes back to my criticism of where the director took it, right? It's like they're going in this very dark direction about like, existential dread, nihilism. What is the point? And the director clearly wants us to get back to this more sweet ending of like forgiveness and breaking the cycle of violence, but doesn't take the steps to get us out of that dark place, even though that dark place was really interesting. And like to your point, like, it was kind of like the dopest extension of the story, and then does this U-turn of like, oh no, but we try to kill each other, but really we should forgive and forget.
It tried to be too happy ending. It tried to be
like a level of sweetness that wasn't deserved. I mean, you could bring us to that point if you didn't take us so far down the deep end in the other direction.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe even giving Frankenstein some redeeming qualities.
They would have had to like work together or do something that earned like trust.
They need a realization.
Somehow. I get it. Yeah.
Was the realization that he heard the monster's story?
Yeah.
Is that?
He was also cornered in the Arctic,
Yeah.
effed up under duress after being chased down. Like, homie, of course you can try and forgive. You can try and say, I understand. Now, home, you tracked down, cornered under duress. Like,
Can't
it's
go
not
nowhere.
like he. Yeah, it's like
That's an interesting read because he tried to pull the same stuff on Elizabeth with his fake ass apology, and she was not having it.
Oh, yeah, it's because he's a sociopath. Like, the dude's an absolute nut. But to your point, though, which again, that's like, but you're right, Brian. They tried to, you're right. Del Toro, maybe in essence, wants his movies to have a glimmer of light and hope at the end, no matter what. And this doesn't feel like the story to do that. And if it is, how you did the story leading up to it did not endear to create that. This was a very gothic, dark story where awful things happen to people. It's tragic. There's no happy endings. And so it's hard to try and give Frankenstein's monster a hopeful, maybe happy ending when everybody in this story has died an awful, avoidable death. And outside of Frankenstein, no one deserved what happened to them. Like, so it's hard to be like, oh, happy ending. I'm like, well, this sucks for everybody else in this story. Like, this is, no,
Yeah. Why does Frankenstein get his happy ending?
And he doesn't get a happy ending, to be clear. He doesn't get a happy ending. His ending is just realizing, okay, I guess I just got to live. His ending is basically life is a gift unto itself and that you should make the most of that, which isn't a bad message, but that shouldn't be coming from Frankenstein, who did not a single redeeming quality once in the movie. Maybe it'd feel better if you knew he had a soft side, or maybe he has a soft side for kids or animals or something that's like, okay, you're shitty, but I can see the humanity within you. I never once saw the humanity in his character die as a kid when his shitty dad, all that, and then he never even had an inkling of it as an adult. He was just a worse version of his dad. And to your point, Brian, that no, man, you don't deserve a happy ending, which he didn't get one, but
he did.
You don't get to.
He got a little forgiveness. I mean, this is like Darth Vader, right? Like in that moment too, but for whatever reason, like in Darth Vader, it works. You're like,
well, with Darth Vader, we got
closure.
with Darth Vader, we at least got to see him as a kid and see his positive qualities. So we get to.
He turns on the Emperor.
Yeah,
right. He actually has to. He by action shows like I have actually changed.
Yeah,
right. And I think that action
is important.
Speaks volumes for the story.
Yeah, and it build up, and you learn Darth Vader's backstory of it's not just he wasn't just waking up in the morning kicking puppies and dissecting prisoners. And, again, there's a lot more of a tragedy in the story of Darth Vader. Frankenstein's story is less of a tragedy. It's tragic elements, but hey, B, your dad doing that does not justify all this other shit. Like, you had plenty of time to not be what you are. So, yeah, maybe it's just like, so maybe it's a Del Toro and his themes of his movies just doesn't fit with what this story is, which is a very dark, sad story without a happy ending, which that's okay. Some stories don't have it, but don't try to ham fist something into, don't try and put a twinkle of hope at the end of a horror movie where everyone dies. It's like, nah, B, there's no happy ending, and it's disrespectful for you to try and pretend that there is after what we have all just watched together.
I agree with your overall point. I did buy that, like, his incredibly restrictive upbringing plus the trauma of his mom dying in his formative years, like her being the only thing that brought him some measure of like reprieve from that, like from his dad. I did buy that, like that would turn him into sort of or would influence him to become someone who's pretty socially terrible, not balanced, not adjusted. So
it's like 30 his dad, 70 him. Oh, 100%. Don't get it twisted. His childhood absolutely screwed him up.
Yeah.
But you got to draw the line somewhere. It's
I mean, he's still responsible for his actions.
Maybe that's why you're a dick, but that can't be why you're just out here doing 1800s necromancy. I'm like, hey, man, you can't just... People lose their parents all the time. You can't just say, oh, sorry, I lost my mom. That's why I'm a necromancer doing all this awful resurrecting the dead. Like, that doesn't hold up in court.
It's like,
didn't hold up in the medical place either. When this medical review either. Turns out they were like, hey, nah, man, this ain't it.
But I feel like, to me, it made sense, like his obsession with death and life. Like, he's obsessed with trying to bring his mom back because of
100%.
the way that, like, the role that she played in his life and the way that he never grew out of that phase, right? I don't know.
Shout out to her coffin, which was also
that shit was hard.
That was cool.
Both them parents had coffins. That was dope. I'm like, yeah, man. Very
well, and it echoed the model he had where he could take it apart and see the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that model is really dope too.
Yeah.
So quick Google search has informed me that in the book, Victor does not recant. He's like weakened on the boat, and his final words reveal that he has not learned from his mistakes and still wants to destroy the monster. And the monster is the one who recants and expresses regret for all the shit that he's done, and is planning to go destroy himself by like lighting himself on fire on top of a pyre.
Huh.
And then like leaves the boat to go do that. So just, for what it's worth,
That sucks because we've seen
was
that
the
he can't
original
do
source
that.
material.
Like even if he knows that if he tried that, it wouldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which the immortality thing I think is a new twist in this retelling.
Well, thanks for bringing that Google info to us. I wanted to talk about two more things. One is the production, right? Like the actual sets and stuff like that. There were some things that were so incredibly like breathtaking, right? Like anytime they had like the bodies was incredible. Like there was so much detail in like the way that they moved, the way that they were taken apart, the way that they were like structured and sat and like positioned in the movie was like eye-opening. You couldn't look away from the figure on the table whose spine had been opened up like and had been like sort of covered with the red tarp. There's a lot of red going on. He had red gloves. And then but
blood.
Yeah, but and
I know which
I don't know, but it all felt like a stage production. Like everything seemed like not lived in to the extent that you would expect in some ways. Like it all just felt fake.
Yeah, it wasn't grounded, right?
Like the outside of the power station, the inside of the power station, everything didn't really seem to connect. They were just like set pieces, but there wasn't necessarily like a lived in feel to the world. The only place that felt kind of lived in was like the wedding scene, right? Where there's all these people in this one big mansion-y place. Like that felt okay. I get it.
What do you mean by lived in? Do you mean like
I
the
don't
aesthetics
know.
of like, because sometimes things don't look lived in the sense that everything looks new and there's no wear and tear. And, like the Avatar show on Netflix had the issue of like everything looks new.
Oh, yeah,
so
like the clothes were new. Yeah.
It's off-putting because
Right.
you have a bright orange cloak that if anyone had a bright orange, and we all have our favorite jackets. Our favorite, most
For
wearing
traveling,
clothes are faded, worn, frayed.
tattered.
Was it that, or do you mean lived in terms of like scenes where there's lots of people? Can you give me an example of what you mean by that?
I think he's saying both.
Yeah,
right?
I think it was both, but
Or
I
like
think
all
where
of
it
the
really
above.
struck me was in the actual lab room where you had the big glass battery things. None of that felt like it really existed. The light was like very, warm and like computer generated. That the sunshine was coming in from outside. It was always like sundown. It was never like middle of the day or nighttime or whatever. It was always sundown somehow, golden hour.
Honestly, bro, that might just be some of the fantasy elements of the genre. Like, it is worth noting that sometimes when we see things that we know don't exist during that time period, like it's worth noting pretty much everything that happened in his lab. At that point, we're going into like the science fiction fantasy area of that point in terms of the body arrangements, the lightning rod, literally the battery things is literally at that point, we're getting into steampunk fantasy of like, yo, nothing like this has ever existed that we have a reference for. So yes, the big giant green glowing capacitor battery thing that looks like the most stereotypical
I didn't mind the
out of a
design of the battery
cartoon
itself.
thing. Looks maybe not like. Do you think maybe just that aesthetically?
No, I
it's
like
not
that part
real?
of it. No, that part was cool. It just felt like there wasn't enough around it. It just felt like they just plunked. They were like, this design of the batteries are cool. And I agreed. The batteries were cool. And they like plunked them down. And then that was it. Like there was nothing behind it. You didn't see any like wires. You didn't see any like cables. There wasn't like shit on the walls that he had like done, like his drawings or anything. Like all of it was just like not fully built out. It just felt like, to me, it just felt like a stage set. And which is like interesting because it didn't bother me in Wicked, but maybe because I knew Wicked came from a stage production, like I was like, I'm willing to give them a little bit of, rope there because it is like that. You're giving the feeling of the thing that you see in the theater, in like the actual theater. But I don't know, something about the movie felt like they didn't spend enough time building out the sets, or that a lot of it was computer generated. And again, they didn't maybe build out the sets fully enough to feel like This was an actual place where he spent months and months and months trying to perfect his invention and his thing and whatever. Like even the like table that he was on felt weird. I don't know, like maybe that's a nitpick, but yeah, I don't know. A ton of the scenes just felt like I don't get where this is or why this is. Like even when they're going in the carriage through the fields, there's no landmarks, there's no things that happen out here. It's just like, oh, we just landed in this random. There's no village attached to this power
They're
plant.
not populated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. So like all of that felt like they made a choice, and maybe it was a budget choice, maybe whatever. And like I don't mind that like you don't have millions and millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollar budget, but it felt like whatever they did have, they didn't make the most of it in that way, and it kept taking me out of the reality of the situation. The ship didn't look very good. The big ship, it didn't look very good. The ice looked okay, but the ship itself just felt like fake. The crew felt fake. Like everything just felt like silly to be there. Like it didn't feel like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. Well, I think you're losing me a little bit on this one, bro. I don't know. I'm like,
no.
The ship crew
Wes.
felt like really fake, and like they were just extras.
I think,
like the men don't want to be here, and then they were like, yeah, and that was it.
So like the acting,
I think a lot of the movie kind of felt like other Netflix fantasy shows. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys have watched The Witcher and stuff like that, or like Shadow and Bone, right? Like this like big movie from a Oscar-winning heavyweight director, like for whatever reason, the things that you mentioned, right? The sparseness of the production, the emptiness,
nothing felt alive.
The look of everything felt very under realized in a weird kind of way,
or like artificial, right? And even the execution scene, it just felt like a stage production. Like, oh, we're just gonna have
everything is definitely on a soundstage, right? Like they're not shooting anything. You know, they're not going to like Bavaria or something to shoot a castle or anything like that, right? It's like all CG. And I do think a part of it is an aesthetic choice.
Yeah.
Like you do see sort of this kind of thing in some of his movies, and I think part of it is because it's this fairy tale thing, and what we're watching is the retelling of a story within the movie itself. So it's meant to be kind of imagined, but that doesn't mean I like it.
Okay,
and that doesn't mean
though, that like
I like it. Like I have a feeling that's
retelling. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling that that's part of the logic for the way they did it, but that doesn't mean it's like interesting. It doesn't mean that it keeps you in the story. Like I had the same feeling. I was like, I want to see something that feels really cinematic, and this kind of doesn't feel cinematic.
Yeah,
because of those choices.
Maybe it's the filming style, but I don't know. I just pulled up, 'cause I got my TV behind here. I pulled up some stills of like his laboratory, and I'm gonna be honest with you. The more I look at some of these stills of the laboratory, the more I'm like, oh, wait, actually, that might have been one of the high points of the film visually. I'm looking at all the just devices and pictures and body parts and blood on the floor and shit. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm actually being more endeared to his laboratory of just how, in my opinion, full it is. But I agree in that maybe some of the city scenes weren't shot in a very cinematic way. Maybe there's no wide shots of the town and, oh, here's the big view of the city we in to give it weight and scale. Maybe it was some of that, and I can't speak on those other parts, but I don't know. I'm looking at this laboratory and I'm like, I don't know, this laboratory looks kind of sick. Like, he got the ice cubes everywhere and the body parts and the steam, and it's got that steampunk, but then the crazy gothic artwork and shit. And then the lightning rod and the big dramatic roof. I don't know. I think this castle is kind of sick. I won't speak on the rest of it, but I don't know. That shit kind of hard. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean,
I also am not a film expert like y'all, so
I don't know.
How cool like that little model.
I guess I just can't see it. I guess
of a body that he had as a kid, right? And he's like pulling apart the little pieces of that little figurine. Like the level of detail and creativity that's in that is not really represented in a lot of the other parts of the movie, I felt like. Whereas like, oh wow, that is just so unique and intricate and something I haven't really seen before. And that is the sort of thing that is a hallmark of this guy's. And it just didn't really like come across in other places where you're like, oh, that's such a, that detail like really breathes life into this set piece or this interaction or whatever. And instead you're left like noticing the absence of it, I think, in a lot of places.
Oh man, I want to see it. I just
like it kind of just looks like any other sci-fi Netflix shit that's out there.
yeah, but like I guess I don't know what that
And
like. What does
like,
that mean? Or does that
there's
just
a
mean other
disappointment,
movies?
though.
Is that like a lighting thing? Is that a set piece? I guess I just
Yeah,
don't.
it's definitely.
I guess I just
It's
don't.
a lighting thing.
I just
It's
don't
a
see
budget
it.
thing. It's a overuse of CG thing. It's like, you know, a lack of imagination thing, right? They're just sort of like giving you what you expect. In a way, it's a lot like a Marvel movie, and like for a production like this, yeah, you know, maybe you want something different.
Yeah, I guess I just.
I think
don't
their
have an eye
solution
for it.
their solution to the set looking empty was to throw leaves everywhere, like in the power plant area. And I'm like, you've been here for months. You just left the leaves on the floor, like they're not crunched up in dust at this point. Like, why are there still full on leaves?
Well, you know, he's kind of monomaniacal.
Yeah, but he'd be
so-
walking back and forth. They all got wet with all the blood that he had on the floor, and now, but they're still whole leaves. Like, what are we? I don't know.
Well, Frankenstein's probably not the best host.
He's definitely not.
So we can forgive him for that.
It just doesn't feel like it's built out, I think is the best way I'd say. Like, even the outside of the power plant, like, there's nothing. It's just like, oh, here's this beautiful building, like, that's old and, you know, whatever. And then there's, like, nothing else. There's no other details that we, like, have in it. There's, like, some rubble in the basement before it blows up. There's rubble in the basement. It's like, why is there rubble in the basement? Like, there's nothing broken on the walls. There's no part of this basement that's destroyed. Like, why would you have this rubble in the basement? I don't know. None of it. It's very empty, is what I'll say. It's empty.
Yeah, I guess I just don't see it. Like I'm scrolling through a bunch
Like-
of these stills, and I'm like,
Like, you know that upper floor where the battery is, like
Yeah, I
where
mean, that's
where
the
the
one
big
I get.
drain, the big drain. It's like it's empty. There's nothing there besides the like batteries.
I think part of it is like these things aren't purposeful, right? They don't tell a story within the story, which is what you want out of production design. You want like, oh, like somebody thought about how these things actually work and created all the details around it. They might never go into like why that stuff is the way it is, but you can just tell from looking at it, like, oh, this thing exists in the reality created by the movie.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like, I think that is kind of lacking in a lot of parts of this.
All right. Anyways, that's what I wanted to say is that there was something about the production. I don't know how they would have fixed it, but there was something about the production and the actual sets that to me felt off. And in a way that I wasn't able to like ignore or like embrace as like part of the story. Whereas, you know, to contrast that with Wicked was the same way. Wicked was like overly lit, overly all these things, overly colorful. It was clearly like, why are these random people just dancing in the middle of the street? And it's like, oh, but like this is the homage to the stage production, right? Like that you have these smaller one-shot sets that just last here forever and ever and ever in the same places, because like that's where this is coming from. And so it is you. I don't know. To me, I was able to like embrace that part of it as like, oh, like at least they're like paying like respect to the stage production as well, and still making it a movie, because it can't just be like one static set the entire time. That's very small. But in this one, it didn't feel like you needed that restriction, and yet it's, to me, it felt really apparent all throughout the movie, and it kept taking me out of like the movie itself. But agree to disagree, Sav.
Yeah, I thought visually this movie was.
Yeah, what's new?
I thought visually this movie was fine. There was a bunch of other issues, but for me, it was more of like writing and pacing and decision making. I thought.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that too.
Looking at it, I was like, this movie's pretty.
Yeah, but I think that was like sort of the problem. It was pretty, but like
I mean,
it didn't.
pretty,
It shouldn't
pretty,
be.
but like I thought it looked good. Like it was great. Like I said, like all the stuff with the dead bodies laboratory show was my favorite thing. All the dramatic lights and body parts and skin, and even that shot when they show the thing.
They clearly showed a lot of.
They do that shot that's through the body and through the flesh and all that. I'm like, oh man, I thought like the body horror of this movie was a high point, and like I was, for me it's like,
No, I
hey,
agree with
shout out
that.
to the like to me that created the atmosphere and the unsettling, just like always a little uncomfortable. And it's not a horror movie, but you're uncomfortable because this dude's just surrounded with effing dead bodies and shit all the time. But I guess we just have we have different of opinions on the visuals.
I thought the body stuff was like really interesting. Like there was like flesh that had been like peeled away and was like apart from where it was supposed to be, and then there was like piles of like body parts on the side. Like all of that stuff, I felt like that's where like all the detail and paying attention to. And I think that was like contrasted with like the set itself, like didn't have as much of that detail that it could have had. That would have made it feel like, oh yeah, like this makes sense.
I think the coolest thing was when he's giving the presentation in the medical theater at the medical school.
For me,
he's got the organs, like some of the organs propped up on a board, and then he powers on the battery, and then the thing that has just been still, the entire scene starts to move.
That was neat.
That was like, true to form Guillermo del Toro right there.
And that set was actually
maybe not enough of that.
Yeah, well, that set was really cool, and that like it was in the round, so it was a small set, but it was filled with people, and all the people felt different and like purposeful. Like they were all shouting at him different things about like you're an abomination. So it didn't feel like the ship scenes where like the crew just didn't do anything. All right, last question. Last question before we rate it. If you had to Frankenstein your own creature from famous movie characters, who are you grabbing parts from? What parts are you grabbing? What are you going to do with this character? Should I start?
Sure, you can go ahead,
right.
because you spent 20 minutes writing down all these Frankenstein parts for yourself.
Okay. Part of my struggle with this was we didn't think of like what role is this character playing, or what are they trying to do here with this. So I was just like, I guess,
well, you're Dr. Frankenstein here, man.
I'm just making an idealized person, I guess. I'm not trying to recreate like my mom or a Jedi or anything like that. We're just trying to create like a regular person. My first go-to, and this is not a body part, but maybe a quality, is I'm going to steal the humor from Anna Kendrick's character in Pitch Perfect. I enjoy how funny and witty that character is, but self-deprecating as well. That would be the first thing I'm installing in my Frankenstein, or my Frankenstein body, in my creature's body, or soul, because that was brought up in.
Does it have her vocal cords too?
Can they sing? That'd be nice. It seems like the process of reanimation seems to damage the vocal cords quite a bit. So I'm not sure if that would work, but we would try. We'd go for it. The physique, though, I'm not building the Wemby build. I'm going more classic, more LeBron-esque build. I'm going with Chris Hemsworth's Thor body, from not the Endgame body, the original Thor, where he's shirtless and muscular and just a big Mac of a person. And then for skills, for someone this to be multi abilitied, to be flexible and be able to handle himself or herself in any situation, I'm gonna need him to have, or her to have, some Jason Bourne skills. So the ability to just take the environment and turn it into their weapon or their advantage, to have the spy skills, the deception skills of a Jason Bourne. And I think that'd be a really entertaining person. They're not OP, like they can be damaged. They're not Superman invincible here. But they are, that would be my character. The personality probably of Anna Kendrick, though, just silly, maybe a little Darcy from Thor as well. Kind of the same vibe,
Darcy.
a little sarcastic
Wow.
and silly, that way.
What are you doing with this monster?
I don't know. I guess they're set for any
Anna
situation.
Kendrick's
That's why
mind.
they got the Jason Bourne skills and the Thor physique. So they're strong, and they're able to be flexible and improvise in any scenario that we need them. They need to do daddy daycare, they can do that. If they need to do some kind of action sequence, they can do that. So that's where I'm going with that. Brian, what are you putting together? Your zombified mummy Frankenstein monster.
So my Frankenstein monster is just going to be we're going to take the base of Jessica Alba and give her the brain of Julia Louis-Dreyfus and call it a day.
Nice.
How about that? That and I don't have any like dastardly machinations here. I just want to create this human being. Maybe we'll hang out. We'll just hang out. That's it. That's
Anna,
it.
we're just hanging out.
That sounds like a cool person to hang out with. I'm saying.
Go tell Anna this. Anna, I'm just gonna hang out with the Jessica Alba with the brain of Julia Louis-Dreyfus. We're just hanging
don't
out.
Worry,
we're just
don't
gonna
worry.
get
She's
coffee.
hilarious,
Don't worry.
like Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So she's just around the house. Maybe she'll borrow your clothes.
All right, sounds good. Would she be a movie star, or you're just saying like in your life you want this person to like entertain you, follow you around, be your companion?
Unlike Victor, I do not shackle my creations. They must go off and be whatever they must be.
Okay, all right.
So she's got agency. She'll probably end up making some dance movie followed by doing home improvement TV shows.
Boy, there was some news about Fantastic Four, the Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan one this week.
Oh, that's right, the original Invisible Woman.
Miles Teller really threw a ton of shade at the director. He was like, one person didn't really want this to succeed, and I was like, oh, all right, well, guess there's some sour grapes happening there. And 10 years was the limit on how long he could hold that in. Savon, what are you going with? I feel like you're gonna opt out of this.
I feel like I'm gonna opt out of it. You know what? Because you said I'm gonna opt out. Fine, I'm opting out since you done made up your mind already.
He wanted to opt out.
No, I didn't. I had one.
All right, well, give it to us.
Well, no, because now you done made up your mind on what I'm about to say. So now I'm offended.
Don't leave the people
now
hanging.
I have been slighted, and
Me
now
and
no
Brian
one is gonna know what my ideal super person's gonna be.
Spawn, haven't you learned forgiveness from that 2.5-hour movie?
Not the same way Frankenstein didn't earn forgiveness. Neither has Wes. Wes has not earned.
I wasn't slighting you. I just felt like
you slighted me.
You didn't want to do it.
No, you slighted me.
That's not a slight.
Yes, it was. No, I would. I would take the brain of who's somebody who would be loyal to me.
Loyalty.
Whoa.
So who's someone who's
so you want someone attached to you.
Stephen Miller. Loyalty.
No, that's not
different kind of loyalty. Okay.
Yeah, that's the loyalty that'll burn down my house in the process. I want
loyalty. Simba?
No.
Abu?
What's a robotic character? I want Jarvis.
Wally?
I want to put the AI of Jarvis loyal to me into the body of the Hulk. And then that is just my muscly bodyguard.
Do you need a bodyguard?
Or better yet, I'll do the actual Frankenstein monster and just have Vision. What do you want? Vision from Marvel.
Want Vision?
Just Vision. That's it. And he's just my my goon.
With the Mind Stone?
Mind Stone or not, I have Vision, and that's just my personal assistant.
Dude, a personal assistant with all of the processing power and access to all of the world's information, that would be kind of sick.
Yeah,
he just comes up with questions for this podcast.
I have a vision. You come to my apartment, I just have a full Vision in the corner. What's that? Oh, that's my Vision. And what do you use it for? All kinds of stuff. My schedule, controls the Bluetooth on the lights,
makes my tea.
Yeah,
there's some farming in these video games.
It's pretty sick. Yeah, and just using it for just
helps me with my chess game. We practice.
You can actually look. The arm even has a bottle opener. Go full thing. Nah, I would probably get some kind of I would have some kind of just like AI tech bio goon. So kind of like the Frankenstein monster actual thing, minus the playing God and cruelty, but like. I would have my own Frankenstein monster, kind of like Frankenstein did, but I wouldn't treat it awful. I'd be like, hey, man, you would do your thing. We're working together. We're a team. But I'm not going to just abuse it. Yeah. I'll probably have it I'll probably have it serve me until it realizes, this isn't a sustainable model, and then I got to let it go. So like, so like parenting, basically, of like, all right, you're my little helper goon, whatever, and then at a certain point, you out because I don't got no control over you no more.
That's exactly
Wes
what
is living
parenting
that
is.
right
Yeah.
now.
More or less.
Well, I'm doing it wrong because my kids are not helpful goons. So
So you gotta wait till they get to the age.
they
Well, you still
already want to
train
do
them.
their own thing.
Well, you
They're
still
not-
train
Have
them
you
to the
asked
age
them,
where it'll pay off.
Have you asked them to come up with questions for this podcast yet?
No,
Have you asked them to open a bottle of beer?
not yet. Not yet. That's coming next year when they're 5. When Kai is 5. All right, sounds good. What are you rating this? Do whatever scale you want. I think if I'm out of 5 on this one, I'm probably. Oh, this is bad. It's like there were some parts of it that I liked and the ideas were interesting, but like, would I recommend it to anyone? The answer is no, and so I think I gotta go like 2 out of 5. Unfortunately,
Ooh.
So you
I
just
mean,
thought this was a bad movie.
yeah, I think so. I don't think I'd recommend it to anybody. I think I'd be like, skip it. Like, go watch something else. Go watch reruns of your favorite TV show or something. Take a chance on something else would be probably my recommendation.
Try something you've never heard of.
You probably enjoy it more than this one. Yeah, I wanted to like it. It didn't speak to me. Sav, where are you at?
I'll give it like a 3.7 out of 5.
Okay.
I think it's a good movie.
Decent.
I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was a good movie. I just think they didn't know what they wanted to do with the ending, and then it suffers a little bit. But I think everything leading up to the ending is great. I thought the first half of all of the Frankenstein stuff before the monster was created was awesome. I thought the monster itself and learning its backstory was awesome. I think for me, the movie just falls apart once the monster kind of learns who he is and goes after Victor, and I think that's where the movie starts to lose its sales, which is in the very tail end. But other than that, I thought this was a really good movie and some cool interpretations on a character that maybe we're already familiar with. I think this is a good movie to watch during I could see this being a good Halloween time of year movie to put on. But yeah, 3.75. It's a solid movie, but the ending definitively makes it lose. Takes away from it. The ending just wasn't great.
Like you docked it half a point, you think?
Probably a point and some change. Yeah,
Oh.
a point and some change. Like, it's just one of those because if they had done the ending right, I think it would have elevated the movie. So
Yeah. All right, Brian.
Yeah, I want to score it higher. I'm gonna give it like a 64 out of 100 lightning bolts or something like that. Like there are, as mentioned,
cadavers.
there's stuff to like here. There's some interesting things. There are points that make you perk up. But Wes, you got me with like, would I actually recommend people to watch this? I don't know. I'd be like. And also, like, Savon, when you're talking about like something I throw on Halloween, like I would much rather just watch Edward Scissorhands or something like that, which is a similar type of movie and just like way more original and like moments of like awesome creativity throughout and like funny and whatever. And this is kind of drags just a lot through the movie. Like it's too long for what it needs to be. As you said, the ending is not the right payoff for where they were taking it.
Not at all.
The most interesting part of the movie doesn't, for me, which is like the monsters half of the story, doesn't happen until maybe an hour and a half into it, and
At least
it takes us a while to get there. And I just expect so much more from Guillermo del Toro. Like, if you want to watch his movies, go watch Pacific Rim, maybe like for fun. If you want to have a good time, if you want to have something that's more heartfelt, go watch Shape of Water, which is a much better movie. And if you want to watch something creepier and like more out there, go watch Pan's Labyrinth, which is his best movie. And if you want to just watch something that's like a good time, go watch Hellboy. So like, yeah, it's tough. It's tough on this one. But not to say that there isn't good stuff about it. There is like plenty of interesting things that we noted. So that's how I'm rating.
All right, friends. That's all we got for you on Frankenstein, Netflix's #1 current movie. Hopefully, if you've checked it out, you'll respond in the comments or let us know what you thought in the comments of the post. You could also DM us on Instagram. We're at confidently_pod. We're also on YouTube. You can find us there. There's another Confidently Wrong pod. Don't go to that one. Go to our page and watch. You can watch our shows there as well. You just see the video recordings. And sometimes we'll put up shorts and stuff like that, which you can enjoy. All right, friends, we're out of here. Go Knicks, go Lakers, go Detroit Pistons. Pistons are on the top of the conference, huh? Crazy.
Go Spurs. Victor.
Whippy. All right, friends. See you later. Bye.
Incredible!